What's up, everybody? This is Jay with Team Hermit Style here with Nick Menard. Nick is going to be going over his top 16. I believe he placed 12th at Carta Magica UW event here this last weekend on the 14th. Just wanted to go over his deck profile. You are playing.
Yellow Turles.
All right. What made you choose this leader?
Essentially, it is just significantly worse Icarus.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right.
uh, so, I don't know. I always thought it's kind of cool. It flips its own life instead of your opponent's. Um, I like gimmicky stuff.
Sure.
Yellow defensively keeping energy up in a normal format is pretty sus because Crown and Coid exist, and that's just painful. So I really don't get punished by those cards in this deck. Icarus didn't get punished by Coit really because it just had like a 17 card hand. This operates with like a 12 card hand, so that would hurt me. But yeah,
Yeah.
ultimately with those cards out of the format, I wasn't bothered.
And you started with the Unison at 3 markers, so not too bad of a starting
Yeah,
point there. But why don't you go ahead and start us off? Take us through a little bit and see what you're working with.
yeah. For anyone who's not familiar on him, go check him out. We're not going to spend 5 minutes talking over the leader. He's a little bit unique, but for the most part, he's a Yellow Saiyan. That's the most important part. And he's an alt awakening to awaken with 8 life. So this gets to start and play with essentially 3 markers, which is awesome. That's a strategy we really lean into. It doesn't do anything outside of just helping you awaken. The
I mean,
other
it's a 16K as well, so I mean, it
It
does
can't.
stack
Well, it
markers,
can't
and
swing
yeah,
though. Is the problem? Like, if
yeah,
people want to
that's
swing
true.
on it, go for it. I don't really care if someone wants to kill it. But the secondary reason for running all this is we do get to run fruit, which is essentially a double strike. So on the backside, when you're flipped over, you can spirit boost and get the double strike in 20k for this, which is pretty cool. You don't have to flip over life for it.
Nice little tech.
Yeah. So losing Final Flash is also ironically enough, or not ironically enough, the reason why I lost one of my games. So I think I had like the worst record for X1s. So we just rode the losers bracket from round one moving forward. Release from Evil is essentially the deck's version of Final Flash. It's your answer to the 8 drop for Red
Ultra mastery.
U7.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. But even just any dual attackers, which is the meta is very dual attack heavy, not double strike, triple strike heavy. So therefore, it just works great.
and release from evil is free off your Unison, correct?
It is free off the Unison, so we're kind of
Yeah,
just
that's pretty
covering
good value.
free plays for now. So essentially, turn one you get to start with Vegeta. So anyone who's even just playing Searchers, stuff like that, decks that need to self awaken, you can give yourself something to swing at from the early game and just leaving a blocker on field. So that kind of stuff is relevant. It's cool. Uh, just the one power of Super Saiyan because it's one. This card is definitely the glue to the deck, which is the Realm of the Gods. This would be a card you want a hard mulligan for, and you can just use them defensively early on. It's going to get your Riposte live, it's going to get your Steadfast live, but it's just going to keep you at 8 life, and it's going to keep your hand size healthy, and that's the most important thing. So using those early is fine. Forbidden Power was huge. I'm a dummy and don't read, so I actually forgot about the bottom activate battle on your turn. You can actually rest mode something ignoring barrier only on your turn and give yourself 10k. I actually used that more in the tournament than I did for the negate, for the floodgate. So really good card. Just a bunch of extra cards that essentially allow you to boost your leader's punching ability. Since there aren't a whole ton of like UW floodgate type of decks. We only ran 2 of this. In hindsight, I probably would have ran 3 and cut something else, which we'll get to later, which is apparently right now. Death Blaster. I used it once the entire day. It was like okay. I wouldn't say it helped me win the game, but it just one less annoying thing to deal with. So that probably should have just been a third of this, and then charging one feels less bad. Uh, the second reason to actually just play the leader is Room Shi Unison. So it's in Power 2, which works really well with the Unison. Because of your alt awakening, you don't necessarily need to worry about being at X life. A lot of decks will just aggress you regardless. When he comes down, it's in power 2. you're going to have at least 2 markers, so it's going to be 4. He pluses 2. So the only way this thing's leaving usually is going to be like Kai SCR, and that's generally about it, outside of a few random gimmicks that exist in the game. So he's just sticking, which is great. He board wipes everything that's in rest mode, not ignoring barrier though. So realistically, I don't play a lot of battle cards, but this just keeps board wiping. So you just do it over and over and over again. The theme of the deck is you can't kill me, and then eventually I'm just going to outvalue you. So it's similar to Icarus, but at the same time not.
It's a very attrition heavy deck.
Oh yeah. Like, I only take the life when I just kind of feel like it.
Like, even in testing, swinging at the unison was just a mistake. So, I mean, you basically just get no value off of that.
Pretty much. So, 4 steadfast. You know what it does. It's a good card. You can get it live pretty easy. Not the same as you used to be able to. We go 4 post. Again, good floodgate. You can use early. Better value later game, though. Since you can just lean on these 2 cards in the early game. 2 Poutine. If that lands, especially against another yellow deck in this format, that's never leaving. We just run 4 of the Krillin super combos. We just want to fix our hand. Eventually, people are going to try and kill us, and because we can awaken at 8 life. Oh man, we just messed up our card order. Because we can just awaken at 8 life anyways, people are on a timer to kill us, because I think it's reduced to like 35 plus 5 for time. So I'm not stressing if someone doesn't want to kill me. I'll just sit at 8 life. I don't care. 4 Turles, which is technically the only like archetype theme card. I would say that's more so an accident than anything. Yellow Sane, so it's just an auto include. Again, another option to just clear board and just poke at someone's leader. We had a couple options for flex, so this is just all of like that good Icarus stuff for the most part. We had a couple options, which was going to be, we could throw in the Turles Arrival, which would have been a 6-card package. And we just would have changed one of our super combos. Or we could have done the Slug package. We went with Slug instead, not because we're necessarily trying to deny people from drawing, but if we run into something like Cinzino, which is pretty popular in this format, this is a hard answer. So that's why we went with this. Red, we're never playing it, we're not worried, but this is also like a turn 1 cantrip. Just gives us something to do in some of our slower matchups or speedy matchups. And then this paired with that as well can be pretty annoying. Unless they have Vegeta SCR. Then they mess that up.
Yep, then it doesn't matter.
And it don't matter. 2 Secret ID. Banned now, but whatever.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. The theme was basically just to make sure that the board was cleared so that, again, could just continue to not die. So, it did its job. I think there are a couple matches where I would have preferred fighting against Fate. But overall, that never felt like a bad choice. And then the SCR, we just Kai. That helps us get rid of unisons. It's next to impossible for us to ever get rid of a unison. So this is kind of the answer. And again, it's just another solution to warp a board away. So, yeah. Theme of the deck is you're probably just not going to be able to kill me, and I'll just attrition you to death. So, I found it fun to play. You may or may not. This exact list would probably not translate well in a non-UW only format. If you wanted to attempt that, you'd have to put in some kind of anti-hate cards. What's the Draft Box 6 extra card for like dealing with Crown?
Oh, I have no idea.
I forget. But like that's something you'd have to include. You'd probably do like 1 less release from Evil. You could put in the 17 counterplay from set 9, but the list overall wouldn't change a ton, but it's more competitive within UW only. I wouldn't necessarily suggest it for people outside of locals, like if they're trying to get a Nats invite from regionals. This might not be the list to go with, but it is super fun. I definitely recommend bring it to locals. Even just as is, I would bring this to locals just to have fun.
So what were your matchups over the day?
So round 1 was U7. That was my one and only loss. I found it pretty funny. The guy who I played against was a really good pilot, but he was using what I would call like a suboptimal meta build. So he's running like Piccolo Unison, he's running Broly Super Saiyan 4, SCR, or Vegeta. He's playing what he owns, which is fine. We can play whatever we want for that stuff. I just found it kind of comical that his build specifically was the worst U7 build for me to go against that just punished me hard. So turn 4, he did the Goku, and then went into Broly, and I was like, oh, yeah. We can rest that with this, but then we're dead.
Yep,
So,
that sounds about right.
yeah, I was like, that's, yeah, you got me, buddy. So, I was ready to honestly just drop after the first one, and I was like, you know what, I'm like, this is just an enjoyable deck. If we go X2, maybe we'll drop, but until then, let's just have fun with our day, and we're able to go X1, which was nice.
Well, and you put a lot of time into it, and in discussing the deck, you said that it had a really good matchup against the big three, the U7s.
Well, U7 I
Some
wouldn't necessarily say is a really good matchup, but it's just for as far as yellow goes, this is
right.
going to have just one of those pretty good. Like going first or second, I don't really care. If you're playing Trunks Cheetah, you have to go first to have a chance. Whereas this deck, I never. Yeah, that's the secondary reason is leaders that don't care if they go first or second are awesome. I really like those kind of leaders, and this
Hmm.
leader really doesn't care if it goes first or second. So that's ultimately what
Absolutely.
kind of happens with that. Um, yeah, so that was round one. Round two, man, I have to pull that up on my phone. I'll probably just edit this part and then on everyone
No, we're
just
leaving
not
it in.
actually edit
We're we'll do it live, damn it. So,
it.
any what while you're doing that, what changes other than Death Blaster for a Frieza's Army reinforcements? What other changes would you make offhand if you had to make any, or is there anything that you
For the
would change? Would you
UW
add
format
another?
for it,
Yeah, just for the UW format.
um, honestly, like deck ran smooth. That definitely has to stay in. I don't know if
I love
that
it.
got
I
recorded
love
on
it.
that. Oh my
So good.
goodness, what were all my rounds?
How many U7 did you end up going against over the day?
3.
Three. Yeah, that sounds about right. So about half the room. Um, yeah, didn't play the full day, but from what I saw, it was a pretty heavy U7, which is to be expected. There's nothing really that they need to change aside from maybe Koitsukai and Afterimage in this format. So I mean, might as well play the deck that is already a tier one deck and has minimal changes after the UW format change. Um, how many times did people ask you what your cards did over the day?
So funny enough with that, um, I had quite a few people get surprised at what released from Evil is. This card overperformed the entire day. Um, I had Judge called on me about it because I didn't believe that it stops the card from restanding. Um, I think people were just shocked at that this card actually can provide good value in a deck, at least within this format.
Yeah, it doesn't see a lot of play outside of maybe this deck, and it's mostly a side deck card as well. So I think that it's pretty important that it gets an opportunity
I might
to
get some of the
shine here.
rounds wrong, but I do remember everything I played, just not necessarily in the order of the
Yeah,
decks.
that's fine.
So I played one Red Jiren. He whiffed like 2 or 3 times, so any chance of him aggressing me early on just dissipated. I also just wasn't finding my unison, so I kept resting his board, and then not having unison to like clear the board. So it we went to like turn 6 or something. It was really funny. It was a weird matchup, but yeah, because he whiffed like 2 or 3 times in the early game, it just didn't matter. I just kept swinging at his unison. I was like, I'm like, the longer we go, the better I do here.
And then you had
Um,
three U7 matchups,
yeah, three
which
U7 matchups. Lost the first one. And I think basically two of my last rounds of the entire tournament were U7, and those were fine. I think I played Joku in the last round, and he peaked in the last 2 turns. He peaked my hand 3 times. So you got to take out like 3 cards from my hand, like two from Unison twice, and then from the 8 drop, and he still wasn't able to get there.
he didn't cook your nachos.
He did not.
Amazing.
He did not cook any nachos that day, or at least with me. Um,
uh,
we played one GX. That one was probably one of the closer games I had because I wasn't running the Vegeta Unison, which I can't run. Um, but it was fine. Again, like at each point, my hand size was just significantly bigger than his the entire game, so it just, when I did take life in multiple spots, like he 5-3'd me, and I was just okay with it. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'd rather just get the extra cards, and then we still just
You
got
just
there.
have so much interaction too, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was able to just keep clearing his board and everything, so
Yeah.
it just didn't bother me. Like, by the end of it, I had like a 12 card hand to like his 5. So we just had to make
Smells
sure
like
to
a
have the
dub.
right negates when he's swinging in for 30Ks, because obviously we can't out combo that. We played one mono red launch. That was Eric's Letta with DBM. We were mostly just goofing around the entire time. Unfortunately, I got that win off of end of time procedures. We both had 3 life, but I had more battle cards on board. So, if we played the game out naturally, I still would have won. But it just, I don't know. Winning with time procedures is annoying.
Always a feel bad. Yeah.
Yeah, when it happens against you or for your favor, it's just kind of like it feels cheesy.
Yep. And then you had one more.
It was round 2. I played against a Trunks Jita, which I had no clue how I was necessarily going to win that one, because I was like, great, we have no way of dealing with barrier, and he gets a bunch of barrier guys. We rested on play all 4 of his 3-cost Vegetas.
That's disgusting.
He was never able to get them out. And I had Slug pretty early, so he kept trying to play them, and he just couldn't.
It's a deck of attrition. I mean, it works. And is that when you figured out the Forbidden Power has an activate main?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
played against him, he did that, and he rested something, and I was like, dang, that's pretty good. That man helped me out for the rest of the tournament.
So shout out to you, whoever you were.
Or activate battle, not activate main.
Yeah, whatever. It's all the same.
It's
I don't
all
read
the same
cards either,
difference.
so I mean, it's kind of our thing.
But yeah, so that was the day. I was hoping to play a little bit more GX and KP, but we still played 3U7, which wasn't... That's like a... probably closer-ish to 50-50, depending on the pilot for it. So, yeah, I had lots of fun. Play the deck.
Awesome.
It's a blast.
Yeah, well, congrats on another top here, and keep it rolling. So at least now Armando has some contention with being the king of the alt format. So good, congrats to you. Any shout outs you want to get out there?
Shout out to Team Hermit Style, specifically to Jay, who did like predominantly the only testing with me.
I do what I can, man. You know I'm there for you.
I know. No one else was. Armando was not there for me.
To be fair, this deck was incredibly difficult and frustrating to play against, but you know what? Sometimes we need that.
Exactly. You just got to get people under people's skin. So,
exactly.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. And obligatory, at the end of the video, yo, yo, yo!
Oh, God. We're not editing that at all.
No.
Amazing.
18 minutes?
No, we nailed it.
Nailed it.
I got the real world problem on my back every day. I got to shed this weight, I try whatever way. You got the big boy problem